This week, we are a Mattless podcast,
And so,
and we will be next week. Matt was feeling a little under the weather today, and he is going on vacation, much deserved, as we all do. I am a psycho, and I don't do that very often, as much as I should. But as I did a podcast this summer when I was on vacation, technically, no, there's nothing. We all have life, we all have things going on, and that'll happen from time to time on the podcast where I have something or Connor has something come up, and fortunately, as long as I think there's two of us, I think this podcast will do significantly well. So let's get into the news. For me today, I think pressing matter. We're recording this August 17th,
well, let's
two
just mention
thousand
the podcast that we
twenty-three.
just recorded. Definitely want people to
Oh,
check that
yeah,
out if they want.
check out the latest episode. We had Adam Graber on, and I was very intrigued by the conversation we have. One of our more intellectual conversations about the parallels between emerging technology and Christianity, and some of the what do you call it, like fears of what it could lead to, or
Sure.
excitement. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he's in the news right now, or at least on the Twitter feed, because he published that Christianity Today article on Bible GPTs. So I would say some of our conversation was surrounding that, and then just
Yeah,
diving into AI generally. So super relevant and super interesting. I think our listeners will enjoy it,
yeah,
even though we didn't have
especially.
Matt.
I know. Yeah, it would have been a better episode. Matt would have enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
you know what? I'm sure we can get Adam back on someday in the future. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that'll be good. Yeah. So Bitcoin took a nosedive today. It wasn't like a crash and burn though. We're still treading water, I guess, respectively to the markets. But if you would have had a limit order in for 25K, I think you might have got it today. So I'm not too concerned about this. I've seen a lot of correlation between SpaceX, Elon Musk, and the potential sale of a significant amount of Bitcoin that attributed to this. I don't know though. I would have to look at the wallet activity on Bitscan to confirm, and I don't even know if looking at that information would give me accuracy in regards to who is the owner of that wallet,
Yeah.
respectively saying, of course,
Oh no, wait, which wallet now?
the wallet that would have been responsible for moving this amount of Bitcoin
I
or
see.
cashing
Well,
out of this
supposedly,
amount of
some
Bitcoin.
people are saying the rumors are that SpaceX was selling their
That's
Bitcoin.
yeah, yep,
Okay.
but which is Elon.
Yeah. I okay. Gotcha. I'm sorry.
SpaceX doesn't act unless Elon
Of
says do
course, of
this.
course. Yeah. So
Yeah.
interesting. But yeah. I mean, people have been calling it. Obviously, we've had it. Just Bitcoin has been going up in the midst of a not so great economic environment. So there's always kind of been those warnings, though. Um, it's too early to say whether or not Bitcoin is really pulling back or if this is just a temporary dip. But yeah, definitely something to be watched out for. I'm not a trader, but I know the traders online are saying it has to recover the 28K level. Otherwise, it looks like it's going to retest that 25K level. And if it loses that, it's going down. It's going down to at least 20K.
And that's ultimately like what it comes down to for this is the levels, and Bitcoin has proven to be pretty consistent in terms of its market stability from that standpoint, especially in such bearish conditions that we're in as we speak from
Uh,
at least a US TradFi standpoint. So it's interesting how stable Bitcoin has been, respectively to the global markets. I mean,
yeah,
China took a double digit loss in their economy last month, and
yeah.
to say that that's not going to be affecting global markets as a whole collectively, it's gonna, because it's still a very dependent economy on those
Yeah,
particular markets.
absolutely. I mean, maybe it's a good time to just shift into that news story. But yeah, I mean, it came out basically that that China is facing some pretty serious economic troubles. And yeah, just like you said, no doubt that's going to impact all of us because China has just been almost nonstop growth for a long time. So some of those numbers coming out are just signs that hey, there's some more serious trouble on the horizon. And I don't
Consumers were
know.
liter-
Mhm.
consumers in their economy were literally being restrained from consuming due to restrictions of just living everyday life. I'm surprised
Mhm.
it's kind of taken as long as it has for the writing on the wall to come to fruition.
You talking about China specifically, or just in general?
Yeah, just in general, China.
Yeah. Oh yeah, in China.
And I'm not a China finance expert by any stretch, but normally when you and nobody has the ability to save in
Mhm.
their economy because they're forced to spend.
Mhm.
And but then
Well,
on top of it,
mhm.
it depending on where you were in that country, you weren't even allowed outside of your house.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting environment. I was actually talking to somebody in China today. Oh, not today. Sorry, earlier this week, and it was just super interesting. The difficulties that kind of just went into making that conversation happen. But maybe I shouldn't talk too much about that.
Yeah, yep.
um, but what I will say though is what's really interesting about China is in many ways they've been the US on steroids as far as where the investment's been going. They've just been nonstop investing in infrastructure. So we
Yep.
talk about a housing crisis here in the US. And I think this is really pinpoints a lot of the conversation here economically. And maybe it's like people have been calling for this major economic downturn for a number of years. And it's like maybe we're not at that stage yet. But what people don't realize is just like generationally, like we don't have the generation to replace the boomer generation. And so all of these houses that are sitting on the market and they say, oh, we have like a housing shortage. It's like, actually, we have too many houses because pretty soon, like there's going to be a lot of houses on the open market and not enough, in the generation to fill them. And China has basically been doing that on steroids. So they have these
Yeah.
cities that are basically sitting empty because they're just building, building, building.
So yeah.
And so this is the foreboding on the horizon is like, are we approaching that point where it's like all this investment into infrastructure is just gonna pop? This bubble's gonna pop. And
Well, and they had such a cultural stigma of the one child policy, and then the
yeah.
government saw the writing on the wall because everybody was getting so much older. So then they're like, okay, now everybody start having two kids, and it's like
Mhm.
nobody wanted to have kids because they were
Yeah.
only allowed to have one, and it's just like, well, we can only have one. Better not screw that up. It's like,
Yeah.
what did you expect was going to happen?
Mhm.
Happen, and it's like it's still, and this is where it's going to be interesting seeing where population in respect to global impact from an economic standpoint is going to be trending
Yeah.
because I anticipate seeing more opportunities in emerging markets like India,
Yeah.
Africa, Eastern Europe. Those are some hotbeds from in
Well,
terms
yeah,
of
talk about
where
emerging.
global supply chains are
Yeah, you're
finding
totally
some
right.
havens.
Yeah, because people want to talk about all the economic trouble in the U.S. and pose the yuan as like a competitor to that, but it's like really all the problems we have in the U.S. are like compounded in China. So it
Yes.
really is kind of those emerging countries, and BRICS is actually having a meeting. I think it's this coming week, unless it's this weekend. So they're getting together. The Brazil, Russia, what
Yep.
is it? India, uh, Canada. What is BRICS? It's the four
That is
countries. I think I
something
got. I think I got all of them right, except for S.
I
What does
can.
S stand for? Yeah, but a lot of countries, a lot of these emerging countries, are actually petitioning to get into BRICS because this trade agreement.
Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa formed in
China, not all right,
2010.
sorry, not Canada. I knew Canada
Yeah, no,
sounded
not
familiar.
Canada. Well, honestly, I think Canada wouldn't mind being the second C in BRICS. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but there's a number of other countries if you look that up that are petitioning to get in, and
I
yeah,
could see it.
that's a powerhouse trade agreement though. That's probably going to be even more relevant going forward. But
Yeah, BRICS. So BRICS are getting together in South Africa.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a weird combination of countries. I'm gonna need to do some. I'm gonna need to do my due diligence on understanding what that is and what that means.
Yeah, it's going
So
to be more relevant in the future. So,
for
but
sure.
if you want to kind of figure out more what's going on with kind of some of these emerging countries, you should check out an episode with Ben Kincaid on Bitcoin mining in Africa, because he brings up a lot
Yeah,
of the reasons that these countries are popping off, and it really has a lot to do with population, believe it or not. So it's just where the signs are
that's
moving.
still probably my favorite episode to date,
Yeah,
just because it touched a lot of
underrated
points
episode.
of
Go
it's
give
it
that one
is
some
it's
views.
it's my favorite one because it touched on a lot of things that I have experience in from a job standpoint
Yeah,
outside of this podcast. So
yeah.
selfishly a little bit, but it was a really cool episode. So just to go back, I'm just looking at coin glass data here from the liquidation that occurred today. It looks
Hmm.
like 703 million long liquidation in cryptocurrency market in an hour today, approximately. With 201 million Bitcoin in Bitcoin and 182 million in Ethereum.
Hmm.
So from a liquidation standpoint, so
Yeah,
that is pretty wild.
major loss. Hey,
So
that's the problem with trading futures. It's like
stupid.
I just I don't think it's a good thing for markets in general. And it just creates a cascade of basically failures in both directions, short and long. That as soon as those prices hit, all these things trigger, and it just sends volatility through the roof. So, and what you're trading like money you don't have is kind of, it's just, I feel like telltale signs of just fiat Ponzi, but
Oh my gosh. You see what happened here with Shiba Inu?
nah.
It literally like lost 500 million from their market cap. Um yeah,
Yeah,
about
that's how
they
these meme
for
coins.
anybody whoever's been paying attention, Shiba Inu's been in the news, and they've had some pretty good growth the past couple of weeks in anticipation of another project getting launched. It looks like an L2 network, Shiburarium mainnet launch, and yeah, the start has been rocky as anticipated. I don't know why we didn't see this coming, but looks like. Wow. Yeah, some additional over 700,000 of the bone tokens were stuck in the bridge contract, which means 2.5 million worth of digital assets are currently stuck on the network's bridge contract.
Yeah,
Rutro, if I do say so myself. So
it is what it is.
that it's
Last up,
because that's such an
mhm.
interesting project.
What, Shiba Inu?
Just it's not it it's the community. It's just in terms of the other things that are all surrounding it. I struggle to figure out what the goal is,
Yeah,
to be
this
honest,
is cool. Yeah, it's total. It's total. What?
because there's bone
Ponding
and then
kind
there's
of.
leash and then there's
Yeah,
Shiba Inu, and
it's
I'm
just
just like,
all. It's all just. It's a pump. You just pump the coin to make money. So,
yeah, cheapers.
hey, the last thing I really think we ought to at least touch on is this presidential upset candidate in Argentina. If you haven't heard much about him, super interesting story this week. So he's not one of the major parties. He's basically an outsider. He's a more or less a libertarian type candidate,
Oh
and
wow,
he
that'll
received the highest percentage in the primaries there in Argentina of votes. So he's looking to upset that race. And what's good about him? Anti central bank, pro Bitcoin, and rabidly so. I mean, you listen to this guy go off, and he can really go off. He's a big, you might call him like a Trump-esque type character. He says he admires Trump, and he really is looking to
wow.
change a lot of things in the Argentina economy.
That's
So,
a that's going to be a tough economy to change too, because there's so
um,
much European in
yeah,
European like mafia esque characters that have influence in that government. So
yeah.
I mean,
But
I'm all for changing some of those South American systems of government, but
yeah,
it's not going to be it's not going to
well,
be easy.
a lot of these Central American governments are really the ones that are, or South American even, are the ones that are really, you know, changing. I feel like a lot over the past couple of years. You look at El Salvador, you look this candidate in Argentina, uh, the president, the previous president in Brazil. That it looks like that election may have been, tampered with a little bit. But yeah, they're kind of going much more right wing, libertarian, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
and it's good for Bitcoin, honestly. So we'll have to see how it
It
plays
is.
out.
It here's what I'm looking for from a politician standpoint is like one, challenging the status quo. Two, what is there? Are you going to start building a ramp for the future? And
Yeah,
three, like, can we just let people be people and put people in positions to succeed and
yeah,
just get rid of the woke garbage? Honestly, like,
hundred
that's not.
percent.
It's. I know it's easier said than done, but it's just like there has to be some. I'm not. I don't want things to go back to the way they were before 2020. I
Yeah,
want whatever comes in the future to be a milestone that builds out for what could be better than what we had previously. Because
yeah,
things have been broken since, for us at least, that we know of 2008. But they've been broken
yeah.
for a lot longer than that. If we want to go back to when this really, a lot of this really started, in what we know of as the United States of America. But
Totally.
some of this global pressure from other places like Argentina
Hmm.
that can scale across the world in multiple countries if the
Yeah.
influence is positive and promotes something good. I mean, shoot, like what happened in Italy there with their new president. I don't know how she's done since she has taken over the reins there, but I mean, shoot, she quoting C.S. Lewis the night she won the election, and it's just like
Mhm.
I'll have to take a look and see what she's been doing lately. I don't know what she's done, but that was a unconventional election winner for Italy too. So there's going to be, I have a feeling there's going to be some unconventional politicians winning races in countries we wouldn't normally expect.
Yeah,
If you know what I mean there. So, but
100%.
yeah, it's
Cool.
interesting. I'm going to do some research on this guy for sure. Javier Mili, it
Yeah,
looks
bro,
like.
there's this
So,
hilarious video. He's literally on some talk show with like a, I don't even know what it is. It's like a central bank pinata, and he's just beating it with a bat.
well,
So,
I mean, that would be the Trump of Argentina.
yeah, he's,
Have you ever spoken with many Argentinians before? They kind of have a
oh,
they have a unique flair about them. Like if you were to talk to an Argentinian about who speaks the best Spanish,
mhm,
Argentinians would say we speak the best Spanish. Like
mhm,
we're the purest Spanish speaking Spanish speakers. That like they kind of have an ego about them or a gravitas. It
mm,
sometimes can be perceived as arrogance, but they're a really proud people. So this kind of plays into that a little bit, and so it'll be interesting to see what other memes or gifs come out of his antics. But who knows?
yeah,
Maybe it's the bull in the china shop they needed to set some things different because clearly whatever's been going on there hasn't been working from economic standpoint for that country. So
definitely.
yeah, it'll be interesting. Well, uh, let's get into the episode. We hope you all enjoy the episode with Adam Graber this week and look for his stuff. And as always, please like, comment, review, subscribe wherever podcasts are found. And we will see you next week. Peace.